Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Learning Forward Weekly Show. It's Saturday again, and we go hunting for passionate educators in the world. Our wild goose chase takes us all the way back to Australia this week again, a continent which for some may be out of the world, but is definitely on the forefront of learning. Their experiential learning, what they do with classrooms, is something very different from what many other parts of the world would do. I have with me today one person who loves building communities of practice. He is sparking future thinking, exploring space. Learning goals of his are very simple: use tech to make a brighter future for children. With almost 2 decades of work, and that too on the forefront of digital tools, STEAM, AR, VR, mobile, future thinking, a global innovator. It's not easy today to find such passionate future thinkers. On the lighter side of it, maybe future thinkers have to think even more in the future. I have someone who is a digital coach at St. Peter's Lutheran College, who is in Queensland, and an ambassador for 100.
Hello.
Here we have with us
Hello, yes,
Jonathan
and
Nalder.
thank you very much.
Welcome
it's
to
really
the show,
great to
Jonathan.
be able to join all the other
How have
amazing
you
guests
been, Jonathan?
that you had. So here in Brisbane, in Queensland, we've just had a tropical storm come through. If we'd been talking 5 minutes earlier, you would have heard the rain and lightning actually. So I think that's a good sign. There's a lot of rain and noise and thunder. It kind of matches, how passionate we are about education, I think. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Our passion actually
Yeah.
brought about the thunder, and we entered with a storm. So here we are. Share your passion with us.
Yeah,
Share
thanks.
your
And
passion for
so
education,
it's interesting
or
because
the
in
passion
the
for
introduction
education, if I
there,
may change my
it
phrase.
mentions a lot about me being involved in technology, IT, digital tools, and that's all very true. But where I am right now, after being in education for 20 years and working in a whole lot of different countries, is that actually it's the most human things in education that are the most important. And I know that might sound like a little bit of a bit silly, because I have spent a lot of my career training people and using specifically technologies and iPads and laptops and all kinds of things. But it really is my passion now, my conclusion anyway, that all of these things, they only exist so that we can actually use them to focus on our most human things. And for me, those most human things are relationship, and creativity and curiosity. And unfortunately, it's very easy in education to turn it into a system. And I know I've listened to some of your other podcasts, and recently Alex Bell that you had as a guest was also talking about the idea of systems. And it's what we do in a way. Like, how else are you going to educate everybody unless you put them into a system and into a room, grade them all the same, set them all the same work? But at the same time, that means it's very easy to lose that human connection side of things. So my dream really is that we figure out ways to use technology so that teachers can have more time to build relationships and sit down beside students. Let the technology solve some problems and give them more time in the classroom so that they can focus and concentrate on inspiring that. Because for me, it's those really human skills like the creativity and curiosity and teamwork, collaboration. Those are the things which artificial intelligence and robots in our very near future won't be able to do well. So if we keep training students to do rote, repetitive activities, they're going to be at a disadvantage in that kind of future. But if we train them and give them opportunities to develop their really human skills, they're going to have a chance to really thrive. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell right now for me. Yeah.
Please stay with us. We will be back after a quick commercial break. Yeah, Jonathan, share with us how
Sure.
you use
Mm,
AR, VR in a typical example
yeah.
scenario.
Great question.
This human
This
touch
is
and tech.
yeah. So this is something I started developing when I was at St. Peter's Lutheran College, and now I actually work for an organization called STEM Punks. And STEM Punks is, you probably know what STEM is: science, technology, engineering, and maths. But STEM Punks is all about putting the punk back into education, and by punk we mean an attitude of asking questions. And um, so as far as that goes, I spend quite a lot of my time, yes, doing AR, augmented reality, and VR, virtual reality, with students. But the way we do that and connect it to humanity is we actually ask the students to use that to solve a really human problem. So, for example, we teach the students a lot about space, and instead of sort of saying, "Hey, we want you to solve how to make rocket fuel on Mars or in space," instead of that, we say, "No, we want you to solve the problem of how can humans be happy living away from Earth." Because I think that brings it back to, actually, it's going to be really hard once humans start living on other planets or asteroids. And how are they going to be happy? So we get students to design a space habitat where there's features, there's ideas that will help humans be happy there. And the way that we get them to do that designing is using CoSpaces. And CoSpaces is an online VR and AR making platform. And so they get to design, and while they're designing, they're learning design thinking as a thinking process, and they're also learning how to do 3D design inside this CoSpaces platform. But all of that work that they're doing with the technology, they're only doing it because we want them to experiment and figure out what would a habitat or a space base look like if it was going to be a place where humans would be happy living. So it comes back to that, that real connected to, what do we need to be happy? And the technology only serves that problem-solving process, I guess. If that makes sense. Yeah.
It's very interesting. You've actually used technology on the background and relationships on the foreground.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is really the change that is happening in the world. Do you agree with me?
I really do hope so. I certainly see some great signs of it across different education districts and schools, etc., around the world, but also in the workplace, Sandy. There's a lot of realization now, I think, that it's much better to have students who can relate to each other and work well together, understand, show empathy, work as a team. Those are much more important skills now, I think, in the workplace, and that's becoming much more widely accepted.
Thank you, Jonathan, for highlighting the warm concept of relationships and human touch in your tech world. And I'm sure STEM punks will reach out to every part of the world and make the punk to education with full vigor and vitality.
That's
I
right.
like the way you use punks. Tell us about how you do this. I'm sure my listeners will be very excited when they're called punks. Why did you end up calling it STEM punks?
It's a name that was chosen before I joined the organization. It partly comes, there's a word called steampunks. And so STEM punks is a little bit of a play on that, but also the idea of punks is being a bit playful, inspiring students to always be asking questions and not always just accept things as they are. That's that punk kind of attitudes, and we think there needs to be more of that in education. So yeah, it works really well.
I think I got it, because you just got the right word at the end of the show. It's called attitude.
Great. Yeah.
It took us 10 minutes to get attitude in you. So well done. I'm glad the punk in you will keep learning alive. All the best, and may you keep punking ever more.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for the opportunity, and all the best to you too today.